The first race of the season is behind us, and there's no time to dwell on it. The Shanghai Grand Prix is set for this week, bringing plenty of talking points. The FIA's latest clampdown on rear-wing regulations is expected to shake things up, while vastly different weather conditions, a sprint race format, and rookies eager to redeem themselves after Melbourne's blunders add further intrigue. So, how will the Chinese GP unfold? The second race of the 2025 season takes us to Shanghai, where the conditions will be vastly different from those in Melbourne. Unlike the unpredictable Australian weather, the forecast for Shanghai is much more stable, with temperatures ranging from a low of 11 degrees Celsius to a high of 26 degrees Celsius. This should be welcome news for Ferrari, who blamed their struggles in Melbourne on their inability to adapt to the car and the chaotic weather conditions. With rain not expected to play a major role, the sprint race format presents a golden opportunity for smaller teams to score crucial points and remain competitive in the midfield battle. But it's not just an opportunity for them. It's also a significant chance for the top teams to challenge McLaren, who now seem to be operating on a different level. One of the most controversial topics leading up to this weekend is the FIA's latest directive regarding rear wings. The issue of rear-wing flexibility, which was a major talking point in 2024, has carried over into 2025. Following the first race in Melbourne, where all cars were deemed legal, the FIA reviewed rear camera footage and decided to implement stricter tests, reducing the rear slot opening limit from 2 mm to just 0.5 mm. Due to the short notice of this rule change, a tolerance of 0.25 mm will be allowed in Shanghai. However, from Suzuka onwards, the strict 0.5 mm rule will be fully enforced. According to the FIA, teams may have found ways to exploit the mini DRS effect within the legal framework. However, just because something is legal does not necessarily mean it aligns with the sport's competitive integrity. The FIA has stated, having analyzed footage from the rear-wing deformations, combined with static deflections measured inside the FIA garage in Melbourne, we have concluded that sufficient grounds exist for a tougher test to be introduced for the forthcoming Chinese Grand Prix. Two teams expected to struggle with these changes are Ferrari and McLaren. This has fueled Red Bull's confidence that they can close the gap to McLaren in Shanghai. Initial projections suggested Red Bull were around half a second slower than McLaren, but in Melbourne, that gap was closer to 0.3 per lap in dry conditions. Despite McLaren's dominant 1-2 performance before the rain disrupted the race, a dry weekend in Shanghai, coupled with the new regulations, could give Max Verstappen the chance he needs to fight for the win. We've seen time and time again that Verstappen doesn't need the fastest car to showcase his championship-winning abilities. If Red Bull can get close to McLaren following the rear-wing clampdown, the championship battle will be far from over. Of course, a 0.4 qualifying deficit is still significant, and Verstappen admitted after Melbourne that he was nowhere near the MCL 39's pace. However, that could change dramatically in Shanghai. It would also be unrealistic to assume that only McLaren has been utilizing this rear-wing concept. A closer look at the cars in Melbourne suggests that other teams, including Haas, have also adopted similar rear-wing strategies. The FIA's decision to adjust the regulations isn't necessarily aimed at preventing McLaren's dominance, it's about maintaining fair competition across the board. We've seen similar scenarios play out before. In Hungary 2023, Aston Martin introduced a legal rear wing only for it to be banned shortly afterward due to concerns over sporting fairness. This has led some fans to argue that Formula One limits innovation and punishes teams for extracting more performance within the existing regulations. However, as Sky F1's Bernie Collins pointed out, adapting to these changes will not be an easy task for teams. She elaborated, basically, the gap in the rear wing between the main plane and the flap that moves for the DRS has a specific definition. The FIA applies a load to it to ensure it doesn't deflect beyond a certain amount. The allowed flex was previously 2 mm, and now it has been reduced to 0.5 mm. This drastic reduction means teams have very little room to manipulate aerodynamics. the rapid implementation of this rule has also caused logistical challenges, as teams must transfer their setups from Australia to China within a tight timeframe. Any team that would have failed the new test last week must now scramble to ensure compliance before race day. Ferrari is looking to bounce back in Shanghai after a disappointing performance in Melbourne. The team aims to secure major points in both the sprint and main race events. Being out-qualified by Racing Bulls and Williams is not an ideal start to the season, and with the more stable conditions in Shanghai, Ferrari must address key issues such as race communication and car setup. Ferrari's primary goal is to ensure their car is optimized for different sections of the track and that unpredictable weather conditions don't catch them off guard. With improved communication and renewed determination from team principal Frédéric Vasseur, Ferrari hopes to turn things around. Speaking about their expectations for Shanghai, Vasseur confidently stated, "In Australia, we didn't see the real Ferrari. In China, we start from scratch." Another key storyline to follow is the performance of the rookies. Apart from Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who impressed with a P16 start and a P4 finish, and Oliver Behrmann, who successfully completed the race, the other newcomers have a lot to prove. The spotlight will be on Liam Lawson, the most experienced rookie with 12 races under his belt. Unlike in Melbourne, where unpredictable weather played a role in his struggles, Lawson won't have the same excuse in Shanghai. Before the rain arrived in Melbourne, he was already far behind, and his crash at turn 1 was a gamble that didn't pay off. In Shanghai, Lawson must step up, especially with Red Bull keeping a close eye on his performance. Meanwhile, Yuki Tsunoda hasn't given up on a Red Bull seat, and if he delivers a strong performance this weekend, he could remind the team why he deserves a shot. With all these factors in play, the Chinese Grand Prix is shaping up to be a pivotal race. Will the FIA's latest clampdown shift the competitive balance? Can Red Bull close the gap to McLaren? And which rookies will rise to the occasion? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in Ferrari's urgent changes after their struggles in Melbourne, check out the video appearing on your screen right now.